Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Duels Across the Stars, where today we are looking at our top 5 ground vehicles. I am Olympus, and this is my co-host.
Ben Carno. So we're going to be ranking them through five up to one from both our favourite franchises, Star Trek and Star Wars. And if you want to see more of these, please subscribe and follow. And you can also see our back catalogue, which will be in the playlist on YouTube or on your podcast server of choice, or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We do a bit of a rules thing before we do this, our rules of acquisition, of how we choose our picks and maybe what we consider ground vehicles in this, or if we have any other rules. So, to get us underway, Olympus, what do you have any rules for your picks?
Yes, I just had one. I'm using it very, very usefully. I'm using this very, very loosely, but it has to be a vehicle which is used on a planet to get from point A to point B. It can hover if it needs to hover, but it cannot. I'm just double checking what I've written down as my choices here. Yes, but it cannot fly, if that makes sense. So it's restricted to being some form of hovercrafty type construction.
No,
What
that's fair.
about you? Do you have any of your rules of acquisition?
Yeah, not far off. So it's got to be able to be used on ground. It's not a flying vehicle, so from my perspective, you can never get the exact measurements on a show, but it's got to
Indeed.
be able to like hover or over off the ground, up to maybe 5 meters, but that's probably even quite tall. So yeah, I'm happy to go there. It doesn't have to be literally touching the ground. So, but yeah, it's not generally a water goer, and it's not like an interplanetary taxi service or something like that, or even a starship. So
Lovely. And do we tell each other our picks ahead of starting these recordings?
no, we don't. So we're completely new to this. Each other's opinions. Even if I think I know some of Olympus picks sometimes, or Olympus may know some of mine, we occasionally surprise each other with this, and we'd like to have a little bit of a conversation so, with it.
We do indeed. Perfect. If we're not missing anything, then let's boil down to our top 5. We'll start with our number 5. Ben, would you like to do the honors of going first?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, actually, yes, I would. So, I am going to the Sansa Tatooine for the pinnacle version of my land vehicle, which actually hovers, and that is Jabba's sail barge. Uh,
Lovely.
oh, where you will see holding parties, executing potentially people, or at least trying to execute people, sometimes with hilarious consequences and such like. Um, so I like this because, yeah, it does look like a sail barge or a sail ship to a degree. You got the upper deck for view, and you've got some lower decks to look out and have some meetings and other shady dealings, maybe, or even a lower one where you would have section where you would have all the prisoners and labourers right at the bottom. Uh, it just looks gorgeous there, and it's yeah, it just looks gorgeous in my head. Any thoughts, Olympus?
Oh, great first choice. Great number 5. It's very, very unique. You can tell it a mile away. It obviously plays a big part in Return of the Jedi, in the first sort of sequences of that movie, and I really, really love two other appearances of it could be seen as that or something a wee bit to the side of that. So, one in Star Wars: The Old Republic, you can get your own version of these as a sort of miniaturized version as your mounts. Where you get to lounge eating grapes or something like that. I like those. The
Very nice.
other is in Star Wars Outlaws. When you find your way, spoiler alert for anyone who's not played it yet, skip for 30 seconds. But you can make your way into a dead Sarlacc, and at one point you come across an eaten up, destroyed barge, just like Jabba's. It isn't Jabba's, but it's just like his.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be
so
cool.
yeah, that was
I haven't actually
it.
seen that from
It
it,
was
but
very cool.
yeah.
Mm,
So that was
it
pretty cool.
was.
So anyway, what is your number five, Olympus?
So I'm going to take us to the Star Trek universe, to one of the least popular movies as well, Nemesis. Um, it's near the start of the movie where Picard and his away team land on a planet. They're trying to track down a signal, which turns out to be another of Data's brothers, B4. His head ends up being what they're looking for. But they land and shoot out of their uh, craft. I think it was maybe the captain's yacht. I'm trying to remember now. I think it might have been. But they shoot out of that in what I think I'd call the Mago or Mako.
Argo.
It's a four by an Alg. What was that? Sorry,
Argo. ARGO.
Argo. Thank you. You see, the issue with this is right. Paramount Plus have gone and taken away all of the Star Trek movies like a week and a bit ago,
Have
which
they
has really,
what?
really upset me.
I haven't
Yeah,
noticed that.
yeah, they
Yeah.
have. They're gone. So I've gone from having all this source material to sort of go after and look into myself ahead of these episodes when it comes to the movies to having none of it. So I saw that Argo. It is the Argo. Thank you for correcting me. So they shoot out in the Argo. It's this 4x4 minimalist, basically R. But it just looks really, really cool. It looks like loads of fun to drive. I genuinely think that the act playing this had a lot of fun using it, driving up and down the dunes and all that stuff. So yeah, it was lots of fun. It was one of the sort of happier points in Nemesis, and great seeing that allowing Captain Picard to sort of let down his non-existent hair and just have a bit of fun for a little while. So yes, that's my number five.
It is, in my opinion, something to have fun on. I would actually like to go and have a go on, and I don't blame Captain Picard for going, I want to give this a go. And uh,
Yeah,
jeeping around uh, this planet and trying to find B4. It's all the parts of B4, so it's a nice pick.
yeah,
You've
it's
got
all in his head, isn't it? They find all the different bits. Sorry, I'm saying it was just his head.
yeah.
I need to rewatch that
That's
movie.
an that's another part. That's another movie where we lose Data's head and try to fix it again. So yeah, that's a looks like a lot of fun with the gun on the back, and you get to try to. They jumped into the back of, as you said, the captain's yacht, I think, or if not a shuttle, but
I
it was
think it was the captain's shot
yeah, it was great fun. That
because I remember seeing it come down from underneath the belly of the Enterprise E and going, "Ooh,
no, I'm glad you picked that. I'm glad that got into it. It's probably one of the most iconic land vehicles in Star Trek, the Argo, or for some people infamous,
agreed."
but not us. It's fun. So I think this takes me to my number four pick, and I'm sticking with Star Trek, taking them into an early lead. And even though I don't think this has got the emblem on the front of it, I'm going with a VW Type 2 van from Future's End, where this is the one where the time ship goes back to, I think, 1996, Los Angeles. I'm not sure if it's Los. Yeah, I think it's Los Angeles, possibly. And they end up with Tuvok and Tom Paris trying to find out more information about uh, what's going on, and finding information on the big bad. But eventually, they make friends with this lady. Or especially Tom Paris really makes friends with her, and she owns this camper van which takes them around the episode for a while, or especially the last part of the well, last part, the second episode, because it's a two-parter, and you can't go wrong with a VW. I was about to say camper, but it's not a camper. It's just a VW van. Even if you're missing the VW off it, you cannot go wrong with one of those. It just looks cool. So
It does. Volkswagen have a way with their cars that look really cool. My previous car was a Volkswagen, and I absolutely loved it. I do miss it. My current car's amazing too. Like for me, don't get me wrong, but I miss the Volkswagen.
yeah, I've never
They're
had
made different.
never had a German car actually, but anyway, that's not here or there where I have one or not. But I'm thinking I want one, but as well now. So, any thoughts on
You
that
do.
episode? Yeah. Yeah.
My only thoughts are great pick. You want a Volkswagen?
Yeah. I don't know how
Um,
reliable they actually are, to be honest. So the vans, but
the vans I'm not too sure about. The cars not bad. All cars have their thing. Anyway, I'm going to digress, so I'm going to move on and talk about my number 4, which stays with Star Trek. So it's getting a good little lead going now early on. This is what I call the buggy race in Star Trek Lower Decks, the episode with the Duplos. And you've got Boimler and Mariner getting up to the usual antics on the space station that they're visiting, and basically they've I can't even remember why Mariner needs something from this contact of hers. I think it was to get in. That's what it is. It's to find out the location of the party. Yeah, the Admiral's party. It's to find out that location to get into it. So she goes to this contact. She used to be at that station because Mariner's been everywhere, and he convinces them to do a job for him. Just very casually deliver this stuff. Everything's above board, honest. Of course, it's not that actually trafficking like weapons, dealing on weapons or something stupid. So they end up getting chased by the security team in these buggies going all through the station, crashing into holographic paradises and crashing through Vulcan flipping chess games and all sorts going on. It's a hilarious
and what's the bird
sequence of scenes. I can't remember the avian species, but they were really, really. I was really happy to see them in there. Were they the same? They weren't the same species that we saw with Peanut Hamper in the other episode, were they? I think they're a different species.
I think they're different, but they are originally from the animated series. You had a
that's why
main
I've
character.
not
I
seen
think
the TAS.
It's one of the new characters they brought into it. I've got their names, or the characters' names, but yeah, I think it was them, and they had their nests. Oh, little
it was. It was super cute. I loved it. People in the comments, please let us know which alien species that avian aliens are. But yeah, I love that sequence. The vehicles again, they were like golf buggies. There wasn't anything massively special to them, but this for me is that the vehicles made that entire sequence and that big part of that episode very memorable to me, and I really enjoyed it, which is what put them in at number 4 for me.
Oh, cool! No, I'm glad you did. It's I did like that scene of chaos going on and them having a little race through the space station there. I'm glad you did. I have a feeling my number 3 pick is a bit slower, or at least it appears to be slower at any rate.
Okay.
It's oh God knows how tall, but you find it on Tatooine. I think that's the only place I've ever seen them, and They use when we've seen them by Jawas um, for their storage, selling,
Okay.
break it up, scrapping area where they keep poor innocent droids and maybe some not so innocent droids. And these are the sand crawlers. Um, I don't know how to describe the shape. Just like a if you bought a big like rectangle and then stick it like a robotic nose on the front. It's and tie some tracks on the bottom, and you're probably onto
Yeah,
a winner.
it's kind of like big rectangle, take a lightsaber and slice the top at an angle. There
Yeah,
you go.
there we are.
You've got a sand crawler.
That's maybe how they came up with it. It's like they got on a bad side of a Jedi and went, actually, that looks good. So, um, yeah, I think we see one poking their heads out of one in the Mandalorian, which is fun.
We
But
do.
yeah, again, it's iconic one. There's a lot going on. It's like a storage uh, thing. It's a warehouse. It it it's it's doing its job in there. It's almost like a spaceship in on for land, and it's also something unique in look for uh, vehicles around there, which it
Mm.
seems to do. With my Star Wars pick, that is a big thing, is how unique it looks as well. Not as much for uh, my Star Trek picks, which tend to be, does it look cool or does it look good? So, but
No, that makes sense. And you get to see a couple of sand crawlers in Star Wars Outlaws as well. If you're playing through that, and you can go back to them, and there's actually like vendors there. You can deal with the Jawas in a couple of different ways between side missions and actually as vendors. So that's really good. It really adds to the genuine feel of Tatooine in those games. So
yeah,
that was good to
and
see more than one. In fact, you see three. I forgot because I won't tell you where, but somewhere on the Tatooine map you can find a rundown, abandoned
oh,
sandcrawler
cool.
as well.
Do you get to go inside? Or?
No, not inside of it. Which is, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up because when you're looking around it, right, at one point there's like a doorway. It's quite high up, but there's like an open door, and it looks like it goes in and to the right. And I'm like, oh, I can totally reach that, and I've tried every way imaginable. Can't get in the bloody thing, but it looks like it's like they've designed it that it's there to have people just trying for hours to fail getting into it.
Oh no, that sounds cool. I've got to give that a go now. And thinking about the vibe a bit, I know in Star Wars: The Old Republic, especially just outside Anchorhead, just beyond the walls, you
Hmm.
got one there as well with uh, a little bit of a trade area there as well. Well, lead a trade looking area just outside Anchorhead in the Old Republic game. So,
On that note, you do also have another one in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
ah.
Again, outside Anchorhead. um, and that it's where one of the missions are, I think. You find your way there to complete one of the missions. And it's surrounded by mines, and you've got a couple of different like groups of enemies there as well. But again, very nice to see it in that game too.
Yeah, no, it definitely adds to the theme. So that's my number five. No, my number three pick, the Sandcrawler. So, what is your number three pick?
Lovely. So I'm gonna take us back to Star Wars. Let's get some Star Wars love back into the game here. To Revenge of the Sith and General Grievous's um, yeah, speeder of choice. Yeah, it's a spherical wheel. It's hollow in the middle, and it's in the middle of it that you've got the seat, you've got the controls at the front, um, with the computer screen and the handles and whatnot. So you sit inside the wheel, you boot it up, It's almost kind of like it's hovering, but also like it's not. I can't quite tell whether it's a hovercraft or whether it's just running along the floor. But the wheel does move as well, or the mechanisms within the wheel, like grippers or
Looks like,
something,
yeah,
are moving along
on the outside
spikes
and
of
keep
some kind.
got like an inner one and keeping there, and yeah,
Yeah,
keeping them steady.
it's very, very cool, very, very sleek, very, very unique. And I'm not the biggest fan of the design of the mount equivalent that they created for Star Wars: The Old Republic because they added these two big stupid engines to the back of it. um, if they'd removed that and found a way to create the wheel moving, I'd have been a much bigger fan of those mounts. But I do appreciate the fact that they tried. There are different versions of it,
Yeah.
and I do have a couple of them, and I do enjoy running around in them. So I'm
Oh,
glad
cool.
they did that too.
Maybe it's an old version of it, and this is where it's changed to. But the one was General Grievous as well. Doesn't it have a couple of feet to scuttle along as well? Or was that General Grievous's feet? I cannot remember.
Oh, good question. I don't know. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I need to have another look.
Yeah. But no, that might have been me misremembering General Grievous moving around. But I'm sure in pictures I saw that. So.
No, I'll need to have a look at that again. Good question.
But whatever.
And again, anyone watching, if you know, add it to the comments, please.
Yeah. But no, I like the idea of a circle, just a single circle vehicle, almost like a penny farthing, but without the small wheel behind it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just about like just flick a coin and see how far it rolls for.
yeah. Oh, there's got to be some skill in doing that, driving that as well. Um, I'm going to
Indeed.
keep thinking about penny farthings and old vehicles. I'm going to keep to an old vehicle in this conversation, and I'm going to Star Trek. Uh, and this is, okay, a holographic version, representation of this vehicle. And it's from one the episode Emergence when a lot of holodeck programs combined together. I'm not sure if you remember the episode, but it had, I think, a cowboy. At least you had a couple of people who looks like gangsters. You got somebody in suits as armor. Somebody who looks like they're from the 1920s as well, and they all end up on the Orient Express, going on a journey to try to
Is
get.
this Voyager?
No, the next generation.
Enterprise? No, it's not the next generation.
It is.
I don't remember this.
Ah. So.
And that's impressive, and I'll say that everyone watching, I'm a massive TNG fan. How do I not remember this?
Don't know. Don't know. It's one of those ones, I believe, slight spoilers for the episode, but I think an alien, if I remember correctly, appears in one of the cargo bays, and it plays havoc with the Enterprise, and basically a representation of what is happening in real life, or at least real life for the crew, is the people of the Orient Express end up going on a journey to try to drop something off. I think it was a brick in the episode.
I remember it.
Yeah.
As soon as you've said brick, it's all coming back.
There.
Because they're heading to a
Verticon
specific
city.
town or city. Yes. And that was the key to unraveling exactly what this was all actually about.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's in real Star Trek time, a nebula or something like that, but that's where they're heading. So they basically somebody had to put a little bit of coal into the engine to make the Orient Express go faster to get there. But if you're, I'm not really into trains. My dad is, but I'm not. But it does look gorgeous on the inside with all the seating and the way you can have your meals, and it. If you want, I'm not a boat person when it comes to things. I travel. I have a little bit of travel sickness when it comes to sailing, but or at least on big ships. But the idea of being on a train taking you from A to B to C to D, and being waited on and such like is sounds so lovely. And it in this episode it looked so gorgeous. And I believe the train was from one of Beverly Crusher's holoduck programs. So, um, any
The
other thoughts?
dancing doctor strikes again.
It is.
Um,
She does.
no, just that was beautiful. Thank you for picking that. It's taken me down memory lane. It's been so long since I've watched that episode, and I'd totally forgotten about it. It was as soon as you said brick, that like trying to get the brick, that's what brought it all back. Before you said that, I couldn't for the life of me remember it.
It's the silly things
So I
like
think
that
I'll be
that bring it
watching that
back.
tonight.
Yeah. I'll go for it.
It is, isn't it? Just one word is all it takes.
Your number
Yeah,
two.
I will watch that later. My number two, I'm gonna take us back to Star Wars. I'm like, come on, let's give Star Wars some love. And we're going to go with Pod Racers. It's one of
Any
the things I
Pacific one?
love. Yes, yes, Anakin's, and I'll tell you why. Um, the other pod racers that you see in the Phantom Menace going through that race, all I mean they're unique, they're different, but I find a lot of them look quite ugly, quite bulky, a little bit over the top as well, and not things that you would think could fly very fast. Whereas Anakin's, I just love how simple and minimalistic it is, and I love the blue and yellow colors across it. It just looks beautiful. So doing that, it makes it all look quite sleek, and it does make it look really fast. I don't agree with the fact that you've got 10-year-olds riding the thing, but that's another story. If Tatooine wants to do that, go for it. Um, but I just love them as a racing contraption. It made the pod race very, very fun. In there's an extended version of the Phantom Menace, which I believe is the one that's on Disney Plus, where they've actually got the entire pod race. They cut loads and loads of it out. So don't get me wrong, it feels like it can brag a little bit, but if you haven't watched it in a while, it's really, really good to watch. It makes it feel like you're actually watching, like, a car race, but it's pod racing. It's very, very cool. It's also very, very dangerous. You've got the racers coming up with many different ways to try and knock others out of the race. Some of it looks quite deadly.
Yeah.
But no,
No red
it looks like
flags in
really,
this
really good
one.
fun.
No red
No,
just
no
load of
red flags, no red cards, no yellow
yellow
cards.
card.
It's all it's live or die, get to the end of the finish line. Um, and the other thing that I found very, very unique was that little energy um, bar that runs across between the two sides of the engines, or what runs between the two engines to keep it all together. I think it's a coupling or something like that. That was called energy couplings. That there's again just adds to the uniqueness of the vehicle. I think that they do look really, really cool, and I'm going to put in a little what I call honorable mention here to the vehicle and racing thing that I believe may have influenced or created pod racing. Either that or it's the other way around. But I'm pretty sure it influenced in the idea of pod racing. That's swoop bikes and swoop racing
Yeah.
from Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. They don't look anywhere near as cool, but the minigame is good fun, and you can see where the evolution from swoop bikes into pod racing. So you can see how that could have happened. So yeah, that is my number two.
I'm glad you picked that. It's out of the prequel trilogy. That's one of the more iconic things, especially from the first film. Out of it, so it's nice that they brought it in. It is some of the scenes, if not the whole lot, is really, really good from that and worth going. And spawned a few games as well out of that. So if I remember correctly. So anyway,
Yeah.
so we go to another one that actually had it's called. Second part of it's a speeder by name, but I don't think it's much of a speeder to be honest. It's
Okay.
more of a tractor. So like, and I'm going to raise a speeder here, um, which is I absolutely love the. In real life, I don't like bikes, but in the Star Wars world, I love bikes. Anything that looks like a real bike, but this looks like a cross between a real bike and an old-fashioned tractor, and it's just like it's something that looks like it does a job, like tractors built for doing farm stuff. This is made for not quite the similar thing, but a oh, it's not quite the same thing, but a similar thing. And you have the stuff she made herself, and she has her junk put onto the side where she brings it back over and sells various parts or has parts for maintenance with this like net attachment on the side. Um, and yeah, you have the big tractor front, and then on the back, instead of having like the big cage bit, you have like a little like seated bike area with the. I was about to say turrets, but whatever the engine part or the engines on the front, but the exhaust ports or on the back or whatever you want to call them there. So that's a lovely looking vehicle, and yeah, it's one of the things that's probably going to constantly need maintenance, but it's your own bespoke vehicle that's meant to do a job in a desolate location, aka Jackal. So
Yeah. And again, very, very unique. It's a very unique design. I don't think we've seen much like it before that point either, which is why I love it so much.
yeah, there's only one other piece of junk that I remember seeing in Star Wars, but I won't go there.
Oh, that piece of junk, by the way, slight digression. I came across a Lego set for it. It's like one of the collector models, 25 years of kind of thing. Um, and I didn't buy it because I wanted 75 quid for it, and I just don't have that immediately to hand right now. But oh, I wanted it so much.
Yeah, no, I think I've put one of the Lego bits on for a Christmas present idea, and potentially if that whichever one whatever idea I got, somebody will buy it, and I can do that on stream. Watch the space. Anyway, what is your
That'd be
number?
nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah, what is your number one pick?
So my number one is I'm going to keep with the same franchise, so it's still Star Wars, same theme, speeder bike, and this is the speeder bike that you get to customize and upgrade and use in Star Wars Outlaws. It
Oh, cool.
is just, oh yeah, it is. It is just plain cool. It is such fun riding this, and do not get me wrong, if you are not paying attention while you're riding it, you are going to crash in the next 10 seconds. I've saved myself from it a couple of times. More often than not, I'm crashing quite a lot because it is so fast. And to give you an idea of it, right, the biggest map there is in Star Wars Outlaws, if you were on the speeder bike and flying full pelt, you could get from one end of the map to the other end of the map in about 5 or 6 minutes, give or take. If you were walking it, it would take you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I don't know how many hours it like. I've not tried it, a lot of them. It's a very 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 fast vehicle, and very very fun to play with. You can do jumps over ramps. You can do skids. You can do wheelies. You can hit the handbrake and do all these different twists and turns with it. There's so much fun you can have with it, and then all the upgrades you can throw into it as you progress your journey means that you can make it faster, you can make it more robust, you can add extra things to it. It's just such good fun, and loads of customization options in terms of the paint jobs and whatnot that you can add to it to make it look different and give it different flair. It's the first mount that I've had in a Star Wars game that's felt like what I thought a speeder should feel like. Like the first time that I ever saw a form of speeder being used, it was again I think it was Revenge of the oh no, so that's not a lie, but a fast single person seated speeder was probably Return of the Jedi, when you have the stormtroopers chasing Luke on those long speeder bike type things, and they look really, really fast. And I've not seen many since then in that type of speeder bike model that have looked or felt that fast. This one, Star Wars Outlaws, does.
Oh, cool. No, yeah, no, they do seem fast in that film, and I'm glad you picked that. I'm glad you enjoyed it so much, that game. Unfortunately, I don't think my computer could take it, to be honest, which is why I didn't end up playing it on this channel. But it's it did look nice, and yeah, as I said, I do like
It is.
my bike style speeders in games and films and TV shows. So it's I'm glad you picked that. So,
Thank you.
quick scores in the doors before we do the honourable mentions. Did you keep track? Because I know we were semi keeping track as we were going for once, which is unusual.
Uh, I did lose it. I did lose it. I'm not going to lie. I have a feeling Star Trek's won this one. I think we tried to claw it back for Star Wars in the end, but I think Star Trek's won it.
So, 6 for one, 5 for the other. No, 4 for the other, sorry. That's the maths is wrong there. So, it went to Star Wars on that one. So they won by
Oh, Star Wars won.
score of 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So, any honourable mentions for you?
Oh, probably for you. I mean, numerous speeders that you see in the prequel movies. Although I'm not sure if I would count the ones on Coruscant that are flying through the air, because that to me they're flying,
Yeah.
not hovering. So I'm not sure about them actually. Now that I think about it, that kind of breaks my rule. Um, to be fair, I don't have much else as an honourable mention apart from the swoop bikes that I'd mentioned before. The sand crawlers that you'd picked was a great one that I probably would have had on that list. There have been a couple of other times in Star Trek shows where we've had what do you call it, cars from modern day all past to us
Yeah.
appearing, like iconic cars. I'm sure there's one where there's a Chevy involved.
Yes, there
There's
is.
an episode of, is it Voyager, where they've got is it a Ford truck that has like horse manure in it, and that leads them to the 47s, is it? That's like Amelia
37s.
Earhart and that.
37.
37s.
Yes, it is, and that was one of my honourable mentions there. Uh,
Yep. So that one as well. Probably not much else, to be fair.
yeah.
But yeah, there was a few. There's a couple of cars that you see in the episode of Enterprise as well, when Paul is telling the story, whether it's true or
Oh,
not. Who knows? But it
yeah.
looks like it was true, of her like great great grandmother, whoever it was, who had settled on Earth after
Watching
a
Sputnik.
routine mission went wrong. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it for me though in terms of honourable mentions.
Yeah.
What about you?
So, excluding all those cars that you would have seen on Earth, I'll keep it as one that was from Earth, which was, I believe, in Paris, and that was one of the trains that you would have seen in the background going by. And I don't know if that's like a one that would have gone to like through the Channel Tunnel and from London or Edinburgh or Penzance and over to Paris, right, and then Brussels. Who knows? You have the train from Solo that would go on the that line that they attack towards the early part of Solo.
Yeah.
Uh, you got the AT-ATs. Just how is that a vehicle? But it's really really cool. Um, and
Oh, can I interrupt you? Can I
you
interrupt you
can.
before I forget? When you mentioned AT-ATs, it reminded me those cool fighters in The Last Jedi on the Salt planet
Oh
that have
yes,
the dangly thing that's dragging against the salt to keep it steady. That
yes,
was very unique. I really like those.
yeah. That they were cool actually. That was a nice scene as well. No matter what some people may say, but I like that scene so much.
Me
Uh,
too.
yeah, and on that note, I that's about it for my serious contenders for my top five. Um, So, if you want to find us, all our details will be in the chat, but a quick shout out for our titles that can be searchable on many locations. So, I'm at TrekWars and Fantasy, and you are at.
Olympus 0511.
Cool. Thank you very much. So, these are not dateable, so in theory, you can go back and watch them at any time, so or listen to them at any time. So, please come back and hopefully enjoy several of these. It would love it if you did, and especially if you put your top five in as well. So may the force be with you always.
Thank you all so much again. Take care. May the force be with you.